Hello, I'm Vincent McCory. This is In Focus, and Dimiake Mokalele is off today. The UN humanitarian chief says the food crisis in Niger is growing, but the country is better prepared to face it, in part because of better government cooperation. VOA West Africa correspondent Scott Stearns has our story.
Bad harvests following last year's poor rains have left nearly 60% of Niger's population facing severe food shortages. Agricultural and livestock production across much of the Sahel has collapsed, with the UN estimating that some 10 million people are affected. At a special feeding center 1,000 kilometers east of Niger's capital, Niamey, UN humanitarian chief John Holmes said the international community needs to move quickly to prevent the situation from getting worse.
I noticed
that the number of the malnourished are not catastrophic at the moment. The number is worrying, but what I'm afraid of is with the progress of this crisis, with the lack of rain, the lack of harvests, this has the potential to deteriorate really quickly. We need to be prepared for this.
Primary schools in parts of Niger are beginning to close because families are abandoning their farms and leaving for the capital in search of food. Those who remain are left to harvest bitter wild fruit.
We are only eating the anza berries we can find in the bush. It's very difficult to cook them, as you need to dry them first and wash them several times before cooking them, which can take hours. The fruit are so bitter that even animals don't like eating them. It's been 4 years now since we were last able to have a harvest on our field because of the drought.
Holmes says the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs has raised less than 1/3 of the $190 million it's seeking to respond to the crisis.
After this, I will be in a better position to reinforce our plea for aid from our donors here in Niamey, but also, more importantly, in New York, so that the financial resources start to arrive immediately, because we need to intervene now to avoid this growing into a bigger crisis in due course.
Holmes says Niger's military government is cooperating with relief operations and is pledging to raise some of its own money to address the crisis. Soldiers took power in a February coup and have since spoken publicly of the risk of famine in Niger. That's a clear break from the policy of former President Mamadou Tanja. Regional diplomats believe soldiers are serious about returning to democracy next year, but the instability that food shortages could bring to any society may threaten plans for new elections. Scott Stearns, VOA News, Dakar.